I get asked all the time what the strategy is or what the process itself is like when you are selling a home in today's Winnipeg real estate sellers market. So I'm going to talk today about the strategies for selling a home really anywhere in that $300,000 to kind of $700,000 price range, just to make sure you are getting optimal exposure as well as, of course, results. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Jennifer Queen with the Jennifer Queen team and RE/MAX Professionals here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And if you don't already, please be sure to subscribe to our channel because we are always putting out content that we think is relevant to the real estate market here in Winnipeg and also just people living in Winnipeg in general. So be sure to hit that subscribe button below. Today though, I'm going to address just what the process and strategy is in setting yourself up in a seller's market for a bidding war with optimal results. Now keep in mind that for every property, there really is no one size fits all approach. There might be a different strategy, better strategy for your property depending on the specifics. Keep in mind too that all agents might have different strategies or variations of these strategies, and that's okay too. What is important in any strategy though are a few key factors. The appropriate amount of timing to implement all of the necessary components of your strategy, proper marketing to make sure your property is reaching the maximum exposure potential for your neighborhood, and finally, a properly prepared home. Really, that is paramount. If you are missing any of those ingredients, you might be leaving money on the table, and nobody wants to do that. So keep in mind, this is going to be a fairly high level overview for you, and I'm going to actually just draw it out on my whiteboard for you too, just in hopes it helps give a better visual. So I've got my board out. I'm going to actually draw this out on the monthly basis. Do not judge my real estate abilities based on my whiteboard abilities because they are very, very different. This is kind of a month here drawn out, a little bit more. So here's your Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You are welcome for that course in days of the week. So typically what we are doing though is we are doing our data entry or the listing into the MLS system on a Monday or a Tuesday. So let's pick here. So listing goes into the MLS. And with that in mind, we can really work backwards and forwards for our strategy. From this date, usually a day or two later are when showings are going to start. Usually on a Wednesday, I find to be the most optimal. So showings start on that Wednesday. Now, you are picking a day to enter your listing into the MLS, and this isn't just a day at random. Usually a Monday or Tuesday are two of the better days to list your home, and that's for a couple of reasons. In the Winnipeg market, what we are finding is that it's incredibly cyclical right now. So buyers are looking at what's coming out early in the week, kind of booking their showings later on this week, and planning to submit offers the following week. And then they're kind of finding out early the following week if they're getting the property they've seen this past week or if they need to start that cycle all over again. So you want to be catching buyers that are already operating in that cycle. For that reason, Mondays or Tuesdays are optimal because A, they are planning to see your property in the next round. Also, if your property looks nice enough in the marketing to make them decide against offering on another property they might have submitted an offer on, that's even better for you, right? So you're capturing those buyers early. The other important factor in listing on a Monday or Tuesday is that our print marketing deadlines for either the Winnipeg Free Press or the Winnipeg Real Estate News are Wednesday mornings. So we will be making those print deadlines so that we're in the paper for this Friday and Saturday. So you have a listing date. Now we work backwards really and forwards from this date. So the first thing you need when you're starting off in this process is good media. And really what that means is good pictures, video, virtual 360-degree tours are also quite popular right now. So to get that all done in time, you're going to be setting up those appointments early this week, usually like the Tuesday or the Wednesday. So you're going to have pictures video, and Matterport. So I write Matterport here, and not a lot of people know what that is necessarily. But if you've been on any virtual 360 tours, or you've seen those home maybe presented as a home video where there's a little circle on the floor and you can kind of move your pointer around and move from room to room, that's essentially what that is. It's called a Matterport 360-degree tour. And it allows people to tour the home at their own pace. It's really cool software. Another nice thing about that is it also generates floor plans for you, which are also important to buyers that are buying from a distance. And it also enables us to take measurements, or I guess your potential buyer to take measurements just from watching that virtual tour. The easiest way is to describe it is to liken it to Google Maps, but for inside a home. So you've got your listing pictures done here, which usually means we're getting those pictures back the same day or next day, which means that we can have a little coming soon campaign through here. So the theory behind the coming soon campaign is that the marketing begins, those pictures, those video, the ad copies start being floated out on social media, digitally as well, and also print marketing can begin. Also important to note, that is when a sign can go up that says coming soon so that people in the area are aware of the listing. The goal is that by this date, when the listing hits the MLS, that everybody already knows about it. The point of it hitting the MLS system is to announce its showing start date and allow people to really start booking those showings through the system. Now, prior to even this portion here though, there is another key step in my opinion, and that is the stager. Now, I write her up here somewhere. She can really come through at any point. So what I like to say is the stager's mandate is to do her best to work with your existing furniture as best as she can. Usually your furniture is going to suit the space and size of the home better than stuff that can be brought in. However, there are often gaps that need to be filled in, which we do. We have a library of furniture, probably enough to furnish an entire vacant home of stuff that we can just bring in if your home needs some gaps filled in, essentially. And some people are weekend warriors with this. They'll meet her this week and work through the weekend and have the house ready for pictures the following week. Some people have lived in their home for many, many years, and the process is kind of painstaking for them, and they want like 3 months to work through her recommendations, and that's okay too. There's no rule that it has to be this week before. It's just somewhere in advance. So when we're meeting in our initial meeting, I am discussing with you projects around the home, kind of going room by room with you, saying this should be done prior to listing. But the stager is then the person that comes in and does the second kind of room by room with you to optimize flow and furniture placement to make sure it photographs and shows beautifully. So the stagers come through, you've prepped the home, we've shot it, we have beautiful ad copy ready to go out to people that you have approved. That is also part of this process. We're sending you that marketing write-up for your approval. All is good, showings start. So from here, this Wednesday, you're going to have, typically in this market, the optimal timeline is between 5 and 7 days of showings. And that might seem short, and it kind of is in that it's gonna make for some hectic days for you, the seller. But let's say our offers are on this Tuesday on this example. What you're going to find, depending on area, is anywhere in a market like this, like it's not uncommon to see between 20 and 50 showings, in all honesty, if you're priced properly. So it's gonna be a hectic few days. And I caution people that have children or pets at home, it is a very upsetting process. You feel like you can never cook within your own home because you're worried about making a mess and then a showing being booked, things like that. You will always, of course, have notice of showings. It's not that people are gonna show up unannounced, but sometimes there's not a ton of notice given. You can set parameters with your realtor in which you require a minimum amount of notice, but even then you want to be as flexible as you possibly can be to get as many people through that door. So I say a lot of the time are people with like pets or young children where it's more difficult, or those working from home even, where it's a little bit more difficult to get out, is if you do have family or friends or even an Airbnb that you could book to go stay with for a few days during that showing process, that really is the ideal. You'll still want to like check in on the property from time to time, but in all honesty, if you're staying there, eating there, working there, living there, it's very, very hard to keep your house showing ready, even for just those 5 to 7 days. So just a word to the wise, if you have the option, I would personally move out. In all honesty too, like the bulk of the showings you're going to find really start to get heavy the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sundays can sometimes be lighter, although you might be booking an open house in there. And then usually by this Monday and Tuesday, things are a little bit slow, but you might get some people that are wanting to do home inspections in advance of writing their offers, so they don't have to write those home inspections into those offers kind of in these early days here. So it can really fluctuate. So you've made it through the showings and now you are on the other side and it's offer date. Now, before we actually say that this is your offer date, I want to stress something that's important here. But when your realtor is entering your listing into the MLS on this date, it is paramount that they be checking what else has come onto the market, perhaps just prior to your listing. So for example, I listed a property this morning. I searched homes in that area and surrounding areas to see if anything competitive came onto market that would potentially compete with our own listing. There was nothing. So I got my pick of date for this particular house. It made more sense to do the Monday. I won't get into those reasons as to why, but the theory was Monday was the better day. So we are taking our offers on Monday. The reason being is sometimes two houses will come to market around the same time. And if both are taking offers on the same date, you are essentially diluting your traffic pretty substantially. Could be as much as half or even worse, to be honest, if the other home shows nicer than yours. However, if you are picking a day around their offer date, there's only going to be one buyer less out there that has gotten that other house, and you'll have much more traffic most likely. Now, whether or not you plan to hold your offer date before or after that other house really depends on the other house and what it's offering, if it shows better than yours, etc. So those are factors that your realtor is going to look at and talk to you about, because it's all part of the strategy in making sure that the most buyers are turning up for you when it is your offer date. There is also some strategy as to why we do schedule offers earlier in the week. So if you are receiving offers with any conditions. So right now, it's not very common, in all honesty, to see home inspection conditions. Like I said, people will do them prior to the offer date just to have the benefit of a home inspection without writing it as a condition in their offer. So it's kind of more uncommon to see home inspection conditions now, but what you might see is a financing condition. And that isn't to say the purchaser isn't pre-approved. I am always verifying when offers are coming in that the purchasers are pre-approved if they have a financing condition, but the bank still asks for 2 to 3 days to confirm the mortgage. And that's really because they want to make sure the mortgage isn't underwater, as in they are advancing funds higher than what the home is worth. And it still needs to go through the final underwriter. So there's just 2 last real checks that the bank is doing there. And usually they're gonna ask for 2, maybe 3 days to do that. So that means that the reason to do it early in the week is so that you know it's finalized by here. So in essence, you've got a little bit over 2 weeks of very serious activity from when your house has to be ready for pictures and in showing shape to when your sale becomes final. But really, it's 2 weeks of hecticness, and then it's gonna be silence and peace for you for a few months to come, hopefully. Typically, possession is 30 to 60 days from here, from when your offers are. That's typical. Doesn't mean it can't be sooner, doesn't mean it can't be longer. We're seeing anywhere from like 2 weeks to like 6 months right now in the market. So it really depends on the seller and their situation, as well as the buyer and their situation. But Typical would be 30 to 60 days. This is it in a nutshell, and it's very basic, and this is a calendar I often draw out for people when I'm meeting with them in their homes. Keep in mind, this is just a rudimentary proposal too. Like, strategy is really house specific, neighborhood specific, client specific. So this might change for you in your situation, but if you're just trying to get an idea of what the process itself actually looks like, this is it in a nutshell. And that, in my opinion, is the optimum way to maximize dollar for this seller's market that we are currently in Winnipeg. And really, I do find it's most successful for that $300,000 to $700,000 price point. Once we start getting outside of those price points, particularly for the higher, more luxury markets, strategy really does change. There's some huge kind of pre-listing component that goes on here. So obviously, this is not a one-size-fits-all approach is really what I'm trying to stress here, and we do have to tailor this for each individual home and client. But I hope that helps just in giving an idea, at least, on how the process itself kind of plays out when you do list. Thanks again for watching. I'm Jennifer Queen with the Jennifer Queen team and RE/MAX Professionals here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And if ever you need help with your real estate needs, feel free to reach out. My contact information is in the comments section below. And if you found this of value today, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. It really does help me in determining just what kind of content to come up with next. Thanks, guys.